So now, I mean, actually behaving for a reason.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jim Allen. I'm the chairman and CEO of Hard Rock International. We certainly thank you for joining us here today. I'm very excited about our presentation. Obviously, we have some indoor activity, and we also have a tour outside. So what we'll do is we'll start here with just a large overview of the project, trying to address some of the points that you had sent to us to make sure we clarify those. And then we're going to go out on site and do a little tour. We certainly recognize it's a little cold out today, so we have as much flexibility as needed. So Hard Rock at Metropolitan Park. One of the things I can tell you, I've been in this business since 1979. There's really only one brand out there in this particular space that truly focuses on entertainment. Yes, we're in the casino business. And then when we looked at New York City, probably at least 10 years or so ago when the process came up, we said, where would be the ideal location? And one of the things that's really unique about this site is obviously the infrastructure and the excitement that is in this particular area. Because this isn't just a destination integrated resort. You have other aspects, whether it be City Field, you have the new soccer stadium, and all of these things are coming together under one umbrella, which we believe is Metropolitan Park. And we think that is so unique in our business because we're completely away from congestion, from traffic. Obviously, the Mets have been playing here for decades, and it allows us to utilize the existing infrastructure, but also enhance it and grow it. So just real quick, and we'll have some additional slides in a moment, but this is the integrated resort to my right or your left, and you can see City Field. Let's see if the picture's working, guys. Oh, my apologies, let's see. There we go. So as we looked at the site, and we looked at many sites in the state, infrastructure is so important. So we have the proximity to airports. We have obviously two different sets of rail. We have the existing City Field. We have the ability to utilize ferry service going out to Flushing Bay. And as we look at all these different natural amenities that are built into the geographic location, we think, as I mentioned earlier, that's something that's very important. When we think about the 80+ games a year the Mets play, and then obviously the new soccer team, when they commence their operations, that is just more excitement in the area. And when you combine this with the 25+ acre park, where it's truly about the community, it's truly about families, it's truly about a destination, we think that is the recipe for this project to succeed. And obviously our brand in over 80 countries all around the world is something that is one of our major focuses is music and entertainment. So as we look at all the different geographic opportunities here, that all combines into Metropolitan Park as we described it. So today, we're going to do a site tour. And there are 4 primary locations that we're going to show you outside. But once again, just being a little bit redundant, this is the integrated resort facility coming off of the MTA station, which is right here, item number 3. We're actually going to do a little bit of reverse order, then going out all the way to, excuse me, the Whitestone. Oh. Yeah, a little technical difficulty there. There we go. Thank you. Over here we have some flex space, which is a very exciting area as we connect to the new housing project. And most importantly, really the heartbeat of the overall project is the 25-acre park, which we believe becomes truly, a destination for the community itself. So what we'll do now is we will turn it over to Sully.
Chris will.
Chris is going to bring that, and he's going to talk to us about the first location we're going to see today.
Thanks. I'm Mike Sullivan. I go by Sully. I'm Steve Cohen's Chief of Staff. When we look at this opportunity to transform the area around City Field, one of the things we're looking at and thinking about is the 50 acres of asphalt and the opportunity to transform it into something the community and Mets fans can be proud of. When you look to the back of the room, you see we're out at the Whitestone here, and you all asked about traffic and parking. The number one bottleneck that we have after a game is Mets fans leaving a game and going underneath the highway out to the Marina and Stadium View lots. The police stop traffic in both directions so everybody can cross the street. That goes on for a half an hour, 40 minutes, and the cars back up down Shea Road and then Roosevelt and then Northern Boulevard. So one of the key aspects of the project, if we could go to the after image, is building a new pedestrian bridge that will get people safely across Shea Road and down to the waterfront. You're standing on the new pedestrian bridge, elevators for people who need it. It's completely ADA accessible so that we can eliminate that key bottleneck. One of the other primary issues that we have is Shea Road is left over from the first World's Fair. It's a really narrow road in both directions. We actually have to close it to be unidirectional before games and after games that impedes traffic flow. What you see us doing here is creating multiple lanes in both directions. You see us creating a new bike and pedestrian bridge that will cross over the Whitestone on-ramp to solve a very difficult, dangerous situation we have out there where people are trying to cross on bikes and pedestrians an active highway on-ramp. In all, it's about $1.75 billion in parking and transportation infrastructure to dramatically improve the experience and solve the key choke point issues we have here on the site. With that, I'll turn it to Jim for the next one.
Thank you, Sally. So once again, we have the before and after. And this particular site is actually the park area. So, this is the existing parking lot, and it gets transformed into the integrated resort off to my right. And then obviously the MTA station you can see behind us. And then you can step aside because you can see all the way out to Flushing Bay. And if I start here, we have over an acre designated space where we can do free to the general public any type of entertainment activity, whether it be music, whether it be art shows. There's all different types of things that we do as a brand on a global basis. So it's really meant to be a space that becomes, as I mentioned earlier, part of the community itself. And this is an area here where there'll be a large entertainment stage, which we can, facilitate those particular activities. I think what's very important is if you look at the actual integrated resort, from day one, we made a decision working with Greg and Shop Architects to make sure that it doesn't look like a casino. And certainly if you look at this building, in fact, if you look at it compared to some of our other buildings, or if you look at it compared to Atlantic City or Las Vegas, it really ties into the community. I think we knocked on over 20,000 doors or so, Sully. And rather than some of the other companies, they chose to do a design and then present it countless hours, with the community, all over Queens, with banquet tables, and anyone could just come up and tell us what they think. And we tried to take that communication from the community itself and integrate that into this facility itself. Even if we look at the hotel towers, how they're positioned so they're not going to create shadows on the park itself. You look at the facade itself, as I mentioned, it's not a gaming destination, but it is an entertainment destination. We do on average between 150 and 230 shows in a destination like this in our Hard Rock Live. So that can be Shakira, that can be classic rock and roll, that can be hip hop, that could be any type of music. And we actually have done a complete study as to the history of Queens and all of the artists that have been playing or launched their careers here in this amazing area of New York City, which is something that's very important to us as far as the statement of the brand. Hard Rock is a brand of music. There is only one international language, and that's the language of music. And that, if you look in any of our destinations, any of our marketing plans, that's where we start. All is one, take time to be kind. And taking that mindset to the community obviously then creates, a building that has this look. There's a couple other things that we could show you as you look back behind you, two the MTA station.
Why don't Chris just flip it to the.
Oh, okay.
This is the existing, and it was actually funny, when
Show
we were
off,
looking
Scully.
at this earlier, this is actually the roof over the existing stairs that come down. And I'm not sure if anyone has been to that MTA station, but we certainly have spent quite a bit of time. And from day one, you know, the partnership committed that this is something that we want to do. We want to upgrade this facility so that it can become, not just for the integrated resort, but frankly for the whole area, all the different things that are happening here. The Taste of Queens is something that's very unique to this project because this is for locals. So if there is a local business that has, you know, particular wares or food and beverage, whatever they want to do, we have designed this, as you come out of the MTA station, it becomes a highlight of the destination itself. And then you can see, you know, different visuals of the different type of food and beverage and retail that we will utilize. Behind you, you can see how it then ties back to the park itself with Citi Field off to the right. And most importantly, the whole destination has taken into consideration certainly the basic things we need to do with different elevation changes, but trying to make it as simplistic as possible, whether you're coming via car, whether you're coming through the MTA, whether you're coming by bus, or you're just simply walking. We've taken all those things into consideration in our designs themselves, but always layering in a new surprise or different aspects of entertainment. You'll hear that word come up so many times because we do not and we will not position this as a casino project. This is truly an entertainment destination at Metropolitan Park. Our next slide, where are we at here, Sully? I'm not quite
Okay,
sure.
so you all parked in the players'
here we go.
parking lot, which is right there. So we're standing in the middle of Lot G. Where our friends from the media are standing is the new affordable housing that's being built. And if we go to the next slide, you can see how this all kind of comes together. So that's the new affordable housing. The new soccer stadium is going to be right there. Without this project, there is no green space for the new housing. For a soccer fan going back to the 7 Line or Long Island Railroad, you're walking through a dark, empty parking lot. You can see how we're building a flex plaza here, which you'll traverse through on the way back to the subway. Everything becomes ADA accessible on the entire site. So you can now get from a soccer game, from the new housing, seamlessly back up that ramp up into either the Taste of Queens Food Hall or to the 7 Line or across the Passerelle to the Long Island Railroad. We see an opportunity to activate this area year-round. Farmers markets in the good weather, doing fun things around Lunar New Year and the holidays as well. So really trying to be thoughtful about how to use this space, activate it, so we can draw people here year-round.
And I think when you take, you know, the tennis center, you take the new soccer stadium, you obviously have Citi Field, we have all these other activities on top of these flex spaces, and obviously the main park itself, where that marketing calendar can truly be, you know, as Sully mentioned, 365 days a year. So for this time of year, we're focused on the holidays. You know, in summer, you could do different picnics and fairs and all those type things. And that's what kind of makes it fun. And obviously you see a lot of that in other successful projects here in New York City. And candidly, what we've done a lot of these things globally in the 80+ countries that we operate. So I think big picture, that concludes our 360 room slides. It's kind of fun to look in different directions. But we'd love, if you're interested, to take you outside and physically look at what we have. Because when you do certainly the pictures don't quite do it justice from what is there today of what this could be, hopefully, if we are selected in the very near future. Yes, sir.
This is a parking lot, is that correct?
And this is a parking lot today. It will be a parking garage.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
I'm sorry, that's right. This will be a parking
Yes.
garage, parking structure. How will people enter, cars enter?
They're going to come down the current road that you came in on.
Tom Seaver?
They're going to come down, Seaver Way is out here. They're going to come down this road, and they're going to take a left into this garage.
Oh, just like if you were going into lot G
Yeah.
and just loop around.
Exactly.
Thank
This
you.
is a smaller garage. The large garage is on the other side of Citi Field. That's the one that's on Shea Road that dumps right back onto the highway after an event. So we're massing the garages in proximity to where we know the cars are coming from, so we can get them safely, quickly out onto the highway after events and keep them off of local roads.
And that's something that's very important because there are multiple entrances to the garages. And we then have the ability to control traffic based upon what may or may not be happening prior to a baseball game or afterwards, or certainly a concert or any of the other activities that we occur. What's very interesting is if you look at integrated resorts with casinos, there's actually a very steady flow of traffic, where obviously for a concert, everyone's coming at one particular time. Our capacity in this Hard Rock Live will be a little less than 6,000. The seats are like 5,700 or so. So max capacity, if we have a standing room show, could obviously exceed that. So you're always looking at your marketing plans based upon that activity. And frankly, we schedule, and we have an agreement separate in our partnership with Steve and Sully with the Mets to make sure that the Mets obviously have the priority over the parking for their schedule, and also with ATA. So, you know, those things are very, very important to us.
Any other questions? Yeah? Yes, ma'am.
How do you phase the construction to deal with the loss of parking while you're constructing?
I'll give a little introduction, and so I'm more than happy to have you comment. But most importantly, the partnership made a decision quite some time ago. So if we are fortunate enough to be awarded this license, we will mobilize if the state does make the decision before the end of the year, prior to January 15, 2026. We are ready to go, and we've actually made those financial commitments so that we can meet the schedule which we submitted in the RFA. We worked with the Mets to make sure we looked at their parking needs based upon when we start, and then taking certain parts of the existing parking as we start to lay all the pilings and the foundations in. With that, maybe Sola, you want to talk about how it affects the Mets for this year, because really the first 2 years will be a little bit interesting, you know, with the existing Mets parking.
Yeah, it was really important to Steve. He's invested a lot in the team and a lot in the ballpark, that we not disrupt our Mets fans as much as possible. So we've limited to any given point in time the amount of spaces that can be taken up by the construction to 2,000, and then created a lot of mitigation measures to backfill for those spaces. We have the ferry service option, which we're pursuing for this coming season. A lot of different mitigation measures to make sure that there's plenty of parking for our Mets fans. So that was really important to us. Probably taking us a little longer to build this building than you normally would if you could just take all the land and start building. And so that's why you're looking at a build year of 2030 when you're looking at our documents. But we did that very intentionally because we want to limit the disruption as much as possible to Mets fans.
To just piggyback on the question Vicki had, I'm assuming you're staging or building parking lots first?
Yeah, the
So
focus
we're
is to
having
build the
LaGuardia?
garages first.
Right.
Absolutely, yes,
Parking
sir.
lot garages on the
Yes,
lots
sir.
and lots, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, the total spaces on site will exceed 13,000 when we're done. So obviously the phasing of that the first couple of years with the Mets is very important.
Any other questions? It's gonna be easier to hear and ask in here than it's windy outside, you know, because of the Flushing Bay. You picked a windy day to be here, so it may be a little hard to hear. Any other questions?
Is there parking at the resort structure separately from the big parking lot next to the field?
Yes, in the integrated resort, there's 5,500 spaces. You know, the parking is all interchangeable, but what we tried to do was focus, you know, X spaces for the Mets that are in the closest proximity to getting into the stadium, and the same thing with the integrated resort. I'm not sure if
Why don't you
we
go
have
to site
a
plan?
slide. Yeah, that may be helpful. So there's actually spaces under the integrated resort, and then additionally, there's a separate garage that primarily will be the focus for the integrated resort, but we're certainly not restricting any of the spaces. There is priority both for the Mets and for any other events where there's existing operations. But the reality is, you know, the guest, we hope, will go and see a game and potentially come in, have dinner, maybe stay afterwards, you know, go to one of the nightlife activities, or vice versa.
Can you put up the site plan, Chris? The bird's eye view? So The soccer, tennis, and the Mets will primarily be served by a garage just to the north of City Field that's located and designed with new parking infrastructure to dump cars back up onto the highway right after games. Smaller garage here across from the players' lot where you came and parked today. Another smaller garage to the south of Roosevelt that can help serve both tennis, soccer, and the Mets. This entire building has 2 layers of parking under it. Post Sandy, we couldn't build City Field where it sits here today. This floor would be where the ceiling is, because we're in a plus 17 floodplain. So the way we solve for the floodplain condition is to get the entire project up out of the floodplain by putting 2 layers of parking underneath the whole building. So on a windy, cold day like today, it'd be very elegant. You'd be able to drive into the building, be able to park, take an escalator up, and all of that parking is underneath the building. There's also a garage for the integrated resort right here. So there's structured parking here, and then 2 layers of parking underneath the whole building.
I think this slide really shows a little bit of the flex space and how it ties to the Taste of Queens, then coming off MTA, also Taste of Queens. So, that was something that we did very specifically to make sure that we are integrating with the neighborhoods.
We're roughly doubling the amount of parking here because we wanted to make sure it was safe, it was convenient, there was plenty of parking for all the different uses.
And then this kind of gives us a highlight.
Any one of the lots?
So we're gonna have to program the parking. What we'll do is we'll sell parking with tickets ahead of time. So we make sure there's plenty of parking for the different uses and people are parking in the right location based on where they're going.
Can you go back to the MTA station?
Sure. We have the
You wanna go to the
MTA.
360 view, Chris, of,
On the other side, but on the other side of that, it's the possibility. Walkway?
yeah, okay, so Roosevelt Avenue is 1 floor underneath this space right here. The tracks are above, Roosevelt is 1 layer under. And what we're doing is we're creating clear passage through the station outside of fare control. So if you're somebody coming to the site, either by Long Island Railroad or 7 Line, you're gonna be able to walk straight through here. The passerelle begins right here. And you'll be able to walk straight through in an ADA accessible manner, come to the integrated resort, come to Taste of Queens, come to City Field. You get through the Flushing Meadows Corner Park and tennis. So we're creating clear passage outside of fare control. The fare control turnstiles are to the left and right. So if you want to get on the subway, you go to the left or right. If you want to walk through to the passerelle, you walk straight through that station.
And were there 2 elevators? Are there 2 elevators in there?
There are elevators on both sides, and then there's also elevators on the other side of Roosevelt. Yeah, so we've sized the elevators based on the anticipated use. And there's also ramps that come down. So for people, maybe a family coming with a stroller that wants to walk down and use a ADA grade ramp to come down, you can do that as well.
And the people getting off of the Long Island Railroad, they come through on Pastel.
Yeah, today it's a rough experience. You come across the passerelle and you gotta go upstairs and downstairs across Roosevelt. So this alleviates all of that. At this same level, the passerelle end begins right there. So you'll come across the passerelle, walk straight through here. You'll take this ramp into the integrated resort. You'll take a couple steps to the Taste of Queens Food Hall. So regardless of where you're going, you're now gonna have to be able to walk straight through without those up and down stairs and crossing those.
And even in the park area, where we obviously have steps, but we also have exterior escalators and elevators, that if you're at that particular elevation, you can go up to the integrated resort from that specific vehicle of transportation.
You're not rebuilding Pastel, you're just connecting.
Correct.
Connecting to it.
to it.
One last question. The 25 acres is just the part that,
Can you go back to the site plan, Chris?
or does it include the outlying areas where
25 acres includes 5 acres of ball courts, ball fields, and playgrounds to the south of Roosevelt. Located there based on the input of the community. It's the closest walk to the neighborhoods around us to be able to come and enjoy, the ball fields, ball courts, and playgrounds. We're also doing restrooms there. There's a small amount of parking if somebody maybe lived a little further away and wanted to come and park and use the park. And so it also includes what today is a 5-acre bus parking lot. We call it Pork Chop Hill. So that becomes a park. And then obviously the main area of the park cuts the middle of the project and goes out to the new neighborhood. So the design of the project is to have all of the areas inside the park area in the integrated resort be no cars. It is pedestrian only. We route the bike paths and the bike paths and the cars around the site, so this entire park area can be pedestrian only.
So all total is 25?
All total, it's 25 acres of green space.
And how do people get from the affordable housing over to the ball fields without crossing Roosevelt?
Yeah, well, you could do one of two things. You could either walk down Roosevelt and come into the park right here, or you could walk through the Flex Plaza here. So we're creating a new crosswalk right here. So when you cross at this crosswalk, it's going to be a new signal there. You'd walk through this flex space, and you'd come down and through to the ball fields.
Is there a stoplight? How do
There
people get across Roosevelt?
crosswalks and signals here, and also underneath the train tracks. Yes. There's also a sensory playground here for kids with autism and disabilities, really for everyone, and also a dog park area up here.
Yeah, I'm supposed to say the dog park. My apologies. Gotta have that.
Can you show from the Northfield parking lot, how you envision the ingress and egress to the high? How is all those cars getting onto the Whitestone Expressway?
So Shea Road gets rerouted to go through this garage, and instead of the one narrow lane today, it's 4 lanes. And so it's going to allow you to, after a game, you're going to be able to come out of the garage. We're not going to have the current choke point on Shea Road where you have pedestrians conflicting with cars and the stoppage of traffic because we're routing pedestrians over. And you're going to be able to go right back onto the Whitestone approach ramp here. This is the most dangerous spot on our site. This is an active highway on-ramp. You have people coming up this ramp at 35, 40 miles an hour, and people trying to cross that highway on-ramp at grade on bikes and walking pedestrians. And so we're actually building a new bridge that takes pedestrians and bikes over the highway on-ramp. Again, when you stop cars there to let people cross, you're backing up traffic. So the idea is we want to keep the cars free-flowing after an event to be able to get on the highway and get out without backing up our local roads.
So you're using the existing road, just kind of cleaning up choke points.
We're widening them. Yeah,
It's the same flow that you have today that doesn't work so well that you're gonna use it.
We're widening the roads. We're creating this dark green line as a new slip ramp to take cars back onto the Grand Central. The most important thing we're doing in terms of the traffic and parking is giving people something to do before and after a game. The biggest problem we have is after the last pitch, everybody leaves at the same time. So the most important thing we can do is to give people things to do before and after the game. Listen to some live music out on the brick lawn, get something in the Taste of Queens Food Hall, enjoy some of the entertainment in the destination resort. The second most important thing we need to do is get rid of the conflict between peoples and cars, because that's our bottleneck. When the police stand out there at both Basin Road, and we'll show you when we get outside, and stop cars in both directions for the better part of 30, 40 minutes, that's what really locks the whole area.
So the affordable housing down here is supposed to be finished in the next few years. The stadium, what's the schedule for the stadium?
I believe that's 27, 28, and you'll see that the affordable housing, the first phase of it, the if you can go back to that, Chris, the site that's south there, I think it's gonna be done the next year. You see it mostly out of that.
And then to the,
Yeah, so this is affordable housing. This is a 250 key hotel. None of this is our project. This is the Wilpons family and related. This is the new 25,000 seat soccer stadium, and then the phase 2 of the affordable housing is up there to the north.
so I'm just focusing on the parking construction issues, so this is all going on, they're building the stadium, so they've gotta have construction parking too.
They have very little parking. So the majority, I get to watch out my office window and I'm building the soccer stadium every day. The vast majority of those workers are being dropped off by somebody, they're riding a bike, or they're taking mass transit to get here. So they have very little parking across the street. It's mostly people coming by mass transit.
So they're not parking on your.
They're not.
Thank you. Anything else? No. We're ready to break.
Ooh. I came from Florida, I didn't bring my jacket. I'm in trouble. No, we're happy to know the truth. We truly appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll be in my house. Thanks.